What's up, guys? Welcome back to FasciNATIVE English. Today, I want to teach you 3 must-know idioms for the workplace. Now, I will say you'll hear these outside of the workplace as well.
Of course.
But I really do think that you will hear them inside the workplace, more commonly inside the workplace or anywhere where it's like a high stake or kind of tense environment. All right. Number 1, the first idiom is up in the air. Up in the air. This just means that something is uncertain or not yet decided. Uncertain or not yet decided. If something is up in the air, it means you don't really know the exact details of it yet. It may happen, it may not happen. It's uncertain, all right? So an example of this is if you watched my other video of the workplace abbreviations, PTO, paid time off, sometimes when you submit your PTO, paid time off. Your PTO request, you want to go on vacation, so you submit your PTO request to your boss, to whoever. Your vacation plans are up in the air for that moment. You don't know if it's going to be approved. You don't know if you can go on vacation. Your plans are up in the air. They are uncertain for that moment in time because you got to make sure you don't have to work those days so that you can go on vacation. Up in the air. Another quick example here. That was a more workplace example. This is an outside of work example. So you might also hear this outside of the workplace as well. Like I mentioned, it's not only for the workplace. So you might also hear it up in the air. Like, if you ask your friends like, hey, weren't you going to move? Like, I thought you were going to move. And they say, well, that's up in the air. We're trying to buy this house. We're bidding on this house, but we don't know yet. It's up in the air. It's uncertain. Up in the air. Idiom number 2 that you must know for the workplace is bite off more than you can chew. Bite off more than you can chew. It's kind of a long one. Bite off more than you can chew. Or you can also hear it like she bit off more than she can chew. And then you can insert somebody's name. Alex bit off more than he could chew. Sounds like Pikachu.
Pikachu.
He can chew. So bite off more than you can chew. This is an idiom that just means to take on a task that is too big or difficult to manage. If you bite off more than you can chew, you're taking on a task. You're doing something that's too big of a task, too difficult, and you can't manage it by yourself. You are biting off more than you can chew. So think about this. You have a huge burger, right? You're so hungry. You haven't eaten all day. You look at the menu and you're like, yes, I want the biggest burger you have. Please give it to me right now. You have this huge burger. And when you're looking at it before you start to eat, you're like, I'm about to tear this up. This is going to be delicious. Get in my belly.
Get in my belly!
You take a big bite. It's good. You take some more bites. And then all of a sudden you're only halfway through your burger and you feel full and you feel overly full, like I cannot take another bite. In that instance, you quite literally bit off more than you can chew, right? Your eyes were bigger than your stomach. You looked at the menu, you're like, oh, I'm so hungry. I'm gonna get the biggest burger. And then you found it difficult to finish that, all right? You bit off more than you can chew. Now that was more of a literal example. Let me give you a more figurative example. So an example, when you're at work and let's say you have, your boss is like, hey, I have these deadlines, boom, boom, boom. They need to get done by EOD. If you don't know what EOD means, you can check it out here on the must know workplace abbreviations, all right? So your boss gives you these 3 things and she's like, hey, I need these done by EOD today. And you're like, that's easy. I got this. I do this every day. Let me take that. So you're like, yeah, sure. I got this. And you go and they're a lot more difficult than they usually are. A lot more time consuming than they usually are. You don't know if you're going to be able to finish it by EOD.
Spoiler, it means end of day.
But you don't know if you're going to finish it by EOD. So you're like, maybe I bit off more than I can chew here. Maybe I bit off more than I can chew. So you message a coworker like, hey, if you have some time, can you take this task for me? Or, hey, I think it's better if we tag team this. Here's a little bonus for you all. Tag team just means work on something together. If you tag team something, you're working on something together, all right? Bonus for you all today. So you might message a coworker like, hey, let's tag team this because I totally bit off more than I can chew here. I have too much work. It's too difficult. It's too big of a task. I cannot complete it in time. Please help. Bit off more than you can chew. That's actually past tense. You can say, in present or future tense, like, hey, make sure you don't bite off more than you can chew. Or, hey, if she keeps going the way she's going to bite off more than she can chew. I said the word going so many times, but if she keeps doing what she's doing, working hard, overtime, long hours, she's going to bite off more than she can chew one day. That's future tense. All right. So bite off more than you can chew. Again, it just means it just means that the task that you took on is too big or difficult to manage, all right? Bite off more than you can chew. The third and final idiom for today is strike while the iron is hot, all right? Strike while the iron is hot. Now, this is kind of an old-fashioned idiom, but it's still very common, extremely common to hear. So if you strike while the iron is hot, it just means to take advantage of an opportunity as soon as it arises, all right? So you're taking advantage of something or opportunity or something as soon as that opportunity arises. So as soon as it happens, you're like, boom, I'm taking advantage of this. This is a good deal. This is a good investment. I'm striking while the iron is hot. So just to explain this, I know we haven't had a history with Carley in a hot minute. So cue the music. History with Carley. I don't actually know the full history of this. I am ashamed. I did not do the research on this, the history of this idiom. All right, this is an iron. And when you strike while the iron is hot, it means you need to use the iron while it's hot, right? The iron is useless when it's not hot, right? Honestly, honestly, when it's not heated, it's useless. That analogy there, you strike while the iron's hot. When an opportunity arises, as soon as it arises, go time. You strike while the iron is hot. You need to jump on that. You need to jump on the bandwagon. I think we might have, did I teach that one? Possibly. But you need to jump on the bandwagon and take advantage of the opportunity. So strike while the iron is hot. A good example of this, especially in the workplace, is if you work in an area where there's a lot of investments or high stakes, you might hear this idiom quite often. So the workplace example of this idiom, strike while the iron is hot. You can just say if you work in a high stakes environment, if you deal with investments or stocks, as soon as you see something's on the rise and you're like, you know what, I don't want to miss this opportunity. Or maybe it's on the decline, depending on your work situation, whichever is more beneficial for you. As soon as you see some kind of change that's in your benefit, you need to strike while the iron is hot and get on that. Deal with it, whatever that means. Everybody's work is different. So if that means buying it up, you buy it up. If that means investing, then you invest in it. If that means telling someone else about it, then you tell someone else about it. But you strike while the iron is hot, all right? Which again just means to take advantage of an opportunity as soon as it arises. Strike while the iron is hot. So let's recap and give some example sentences along with our recap. Number 1. The first idiom that we learned today was up in the air. Up in the air. So an example sentence of this is, our vacation plans are still up in the air. Our vacation plans are still up in the air. And remember, up in the air just means uncertain or not decided yet. Up in the air. Number 2, the second idiom that we learned today was bite off more than you can chew. Bite off more than you can chew. So an example of this, example sentence, by accepting multiple projects at once, he bit off more than he could chew. By accepting multiple projects at once, he bit off more than he can chew. Again, bite off more than you can chew means to take on a task that is too big or difficult to manage. So this example, by accepting multiple projects at once, he bit off more than you can chew. Perfect. Let's move on to number 3, the final one for today. Strike while the iron is hot. Strike while the iron is hot. So an example of this is the market is booming right now. We should strike while the iron is hot and invest. The market is booming right now. We should strike while the iron is hot and invest. Again, strike while the iron is hot just means to take advantage of an opportunity as soon as it arises. All right, you strike while the iron is hot. So I hope you guys have a better understanding of these three, in my opinion, important idioms for the workplace or just life in general, but especially the workplace. If you do, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next video.